What unresolved disappearance creeps you out the most? Mine would definitely be Branson Perry. Branson was a 20-year-old man living in Skidmore, Missouri who went missing on the night of April 11, 2001. He and some friends were cleaning his father's place, as his father would soon be returning from a hospital stay. Branson excused himself to return a pair of jumper cables to his father's shed. This would be the last time he was ever heard from, as he never returned. Multiple theories exist, from Branson simply running away, to him being kidnapped over possible involvement in drug dealing. This case gets to me because I find it disturbing how someone can disappear so close to other people. There's also another small detail that gets to me. Upon initial search of the area, the cables were nowhere to be found, which would seemingly indicate that Branson never got them to the shed. Later, however, the cables were found back in the shed. That's my case. What's yours? Mysterious crimes that aren't actually mysterious? I believe in it out of the true crime community every now and then, and I have found the narrative can sometimes change. For instance, the case of Chris Kramers and Lee Sanfaroon. For the longest time, whenever I read boards about these two women, the main idea was that it was all too strange and there must have been third-party involvement, but now I'm reading quite a few posts that it's most likely the most simple conclusion: they got lost and died due to exposure/lack of food and water. Similar with Maura Murray, I've seen a fair few people suggesting that it could have been as simple as she ran into the woods after the crash and was disoriented and scared and got lost there. Another example is with the case of Kendrick Johnson. The main theme I read was that it was foul play, and to me it does seem that way. But a person I was talking about this to suggested that it was a tragic accident. The children used to put their gym shoes on the mats, he climbed up and fell in. The pressure of being stuck would have distorted his features. I'll admit that I'm not as deep into the true crime/unsolved mysteries world as some of you are, so some of these observations may be obvious to you, but I'm wondering if there are any cases you know of or are interested in that you think have a more simple explanation than what has been reported. As for the cases I've mentioned above, I'm not sure with where I stand really. I can see Kramers and Froon being a case of just getting lost, and I can see the potential that Maura Murray just made a run for it and died of exposure, but with the Kendrick Johnson case I feel that I need to do more research into this. Martin Crumblish disappearance, Dobbs Ferry, New York. Martin and Dobbs Ferry, New York, on May 3, 1981. He had attended a party that evening near the Hudson River, at a popular clearing known as The View. At 11 p.m., he walked a female friend home and then returned to the party. Martin left the party again at about midnight and headed for a friend's house on Myrtle Avenue. It is unclear what happened to him afterward. He has never been heard from again. His wallet, containing his identification and other personal items, was left near where he was last seen. Martin was spending the night with a friend in Dobbs Ferry because he had to take the SAT exam there. He was a junior at Dobbs Ferry High School in 1981. He is described as a sensitive, artistic person who enjoyed writing poetry. He was popular with his peers and was on the school football and basketball teams. Martin's loved ones do not believe he ran away. They stated he was excited about a new job and would not have left it, and if he had, he would have contacted his family eventually. There has been no activity on his social security number since his disappearance. In 2002, over 20 years after Martin's disappearance, his case was reclassified from a missing person to a probable homicide. He was having some problems with some local youths at the time of his disappearance, and authorities believe he got in a fight and was killed, perhaps accidentally, shortly after he was last seen. They've conducted several searches for his body in the area but turned up nothing. Both of Martin's parents are still alive. His father lives in California and his mother in upstate New York. They continue to hope for resolution in his case, which remains unsolved. The Cold War disappearance of USAF Captain William Schaffner. On September 8, 1970, Captain William Schaffner's BAC Lightning aircraft disappeared from radar over the North Sea while tracking an unidentified contact. 4 months later, his aircraft was recovered from the seabed. It was undamaged and the cockpit canopy was closed. The body of William Schaffner was not in the cockpit. No trace of him has ever been found. 1970 incident. Captain William Schaffner, September 11, 1941, September 8, 1970, was an American Air Force exchange pilot stationed at Royal Air Force Binbrook in Lincolnshire, England. His call sign was Foxtrot 94. Captain Schaffner was stationed at RAF Binbrook. This base was on Quick Reaction Alert, QRA, which means the pilots are at immediate readiness 24 hours a day. The BAC Lightning aircraft served as an interceptor. This was during the Cold War and the purpose of the QRA was to defend against possible Soviet incursions. Soviet aircraft frequently flew into the North Atlantic to test the response from NATO aircraft. On the night of September 8, 1970, an unidentified contact showed up on radar over the North Sea. Several NATO aircraft were scrambled, but before they could intercept, the target disappeared. Another unidentified target was picked up on radar about an hour later. Several aircraft were sent to intercept, including the BAC Lightning flown by Captain Schaffner. Early the following morning, the crew of a reconnaissance aircraft witnessed Captain Schaffner's aircraft ditch at sea. Flares were seen by a ship named Kestrel. The aircraft itself was found on the seabed by Royal Navy divers about a month later. The cockpit was empty and the canopy was closed. The aircraft itself was raised about 3 months later. 1992 transcript. In 1992, the Grimsby Evening Telegraph published a transcript allegedly from an anonymous source that recorded the final conversation between Captain Schaffner and RAF Stakston Wold. See link below. When asked if he could identify the type of aircraft, the transcript says Captain Schaffner responded, "Negative, nothing recognizable, no clear outlines. There is, bluish light. Hell, that's bright, very bright." This was followed by, "I'm alongside it now, maybe 600 feet off my, geez, that's bright. It hurts my eyes to look at it for more than a few seconds, and it's like a large soccer ball. It's like it's made of glass." RAF Stakston asked, "Is it part of the object or independent?" To this Captain Schaffner responded, No, it's separate from the main body, the conical shape, it's at the back end, the sharp end of the shape. It's like bobbing up and down and going from side to side slowly. It may be the power source. There's no sign of ballistics." RAF Stakston then asked, "Is there any sign of occupation?" Captain Schaffner responded, "Negative, nothing." RAF Stakston asked, "Is the ball object still with it?" Captain Schaffner replied, "Affirmative. It's not actually connected, maybe a magnetic attraction to the conical shape. There's a haze of light. Yow, it's within heat haze. Wait a second, it's turning. Coming straight for me. Am taking evasive action, I can hardly." Radar controllers at Stakston Wold saw the two blips that represented Captain Schaffner's Lightning and the unidentified contact merge into one. This blip rapidly decelerated from 500 miles per hour to zero at an altitude of 6,000 feet. This single blip remained this way for about 2.5 minutes. Then it accelerated to 600 miles per hour and climbed to 9,000 feet. Then the single blip separated into two. One blip traveled erratically at speeds between 600 and 630 miles per hour while descending slowly. The other blip turned 180 degrees and vanished at a speed estimated to be about 20,400 miles per hour. Contact was re-established with Captain Schaffner. When asked about his condition, Captain Schaffner replied, "Not too good. I can't think what has happened. I feel kinda dizzy. I can see shooting stars." When asked about his instruments, he replied, "The compass is useless, followed by all directional instruments are out, repeat useless. Over." When asked, "Can you tell us what happened 94? Captain Schaffner replied, "I don't know. It came in close, I shut my eyes, I figure I must have blacked out for a few seconds." The RAF Stakston were able to guide Captain Schaffner to Flamborough Head, which he was left to circle along with a Shackleton reconnaissance aircraft. Captain Schaffner was ordered to ditch his aircraft in the sea even though it had enough fuel to reach a nearby airfield. The article I'm sourcing explains this by saying, "It appears the reason for the decision to ditch was a fear that the Lightning had somehow become contaminated during its mystery interception over the North Sea. It's not clear to me what contamination means." The article mentions radiation but points out that when Captain Schaffner's BAC Lightning was later recovered, no trace of radiation was found. The Shackleton reconnaissance aircraft reported on the ditching, saying, "He's down, GCI. Hell of a splash, he's down in one piece though. Over." A few minutes later, the Shackleton reported, "The canopy's up, she's floating okay, can't see the pilot. We need a chopper out here, GCI. No sign of the pilot. Where the hell?" After another few minutes, the Shackleton reported, "This is odd, GCI. She's sinking fast but the canopy's closed up again. Over." When asked, "Can you confirm pilot clear of aircraft?" the Shackleton replied, "He's not in it, we can confirm that. He must be in the water somewhere." The remainder of the conversation between the Shackleton and RAF Stakston centered on the whereabouts of Captain Schaffner. He was nowhere to be seen, and noted that / why he would have closed his cockpit canopy. 2002 transcript. In 2002, The BBC's Inside Out team obtained documents and classified photographs of the RAF fighter from the Ministry of Defence, linked below. The BBC article reports that Captain Schaffner's family was never told the results of the official inquiry into the crash. His sons, Glenn and Mike Schaffner, have been trying to find out what happened for years. The BBC article says. Reporter Sophie Hall said, "Some aspects of Captain Schaffner's disappearance can't be explained. But we believe this is as close to a detailed explanation of what actually happened that anyone will get." The BBC article quotes a transcript of a recording by RAF Patrington that includes Captain Schaffner, his wingman, and flight control. This transcript is very different from the 1992 version. Captain Schaffner reports, "Contact with a set of lights in that area followed by 'I've got my probe light on now.' I found the BBC transcript impossible to understand, so I can't summarize it. It appears to be in air controller or RAF jargonese, so all I can do is report that the documents acquired by the BBC reveal the following. 1. It was not an unidentified aircraft but a slow-moving Shackleton reconnaissance aircraft that the captain was trying to intercept on an exercise. 2. Its crew had lost radio contact. Then, by the light of a flare, they'd seen the aircraft in the water. 3. The captain had simply flown too low trying to get beneath his target and hit the sea. 4. Captain Schaffner had not been properly trained to carry out the exercise he had been asked to undertake. 5. When he tried to bail out, his ejector seat failed to operate,